do it.
Let's have fun.
Let's have some fun. All right. Maxime Bernier, welcome to the Grinds My Gears podcast. Thank you for joining me this morning. First of all, it's actually not Maxime, it's the Honorable Maxime Bernier. How do I get myself that title?
No, you can call me Max, and that's okay. You know, I'm honorable because I was a minister under the Harper government, and in our parliamentary system,
Yeah.
uh, every every minister they can have that title. But between you and me, I don't use it. I don't like it. My name is Maxim or Max, and that's perfect.
Or Mad Max. That's even better. That's an even better one. Uh, thanks for joining me today. I think this is a great opportunity for Canadians to see politicians like yourself come out and talk to regular people like myself. And I just want to thank you for doing this and for what you've been doing in the public as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem. Let's start with this. Because what I did when we were scheduled to talk is I actually went around and specifically went and talked to people in my community. Like I'm a martial artist, I'm a fighter, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in the fitness industry. So I wanted to bring to you questions that regular people had. Not that, what media has and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I wanted to start with like the last 3 years. It's been incredibly hard on everybody. Myself, yourself included, is a really crazy transition. But the biggest thing that people have seen and people are noticing and feeling is a massive mistrust of politicians and the political establishment. And one of the things they want to know from you is, policies aside, are you as a man, like as a leader, what can you do for them to help reestablish that trust in politicians and in that political structure?
But first, you're right by saying that the trust in politicians is very, very low. And, it's because of them. It's because of establishment politicians, career politicians, because, they are doing politics based on survey and polling and focus group. And so they don't have any conviction and principles. So they will tell you what you want to hear, and maybe after that, doing the opposite. And I understand, it's a big challenge. When I was elected the first time in 2006, I was a member of parliament from 2006 in Canada
Yeah.
until 2015, 2019, sorry. And so when I was elected the first time in 2006, the participation rate at the federal level in Canada was very low at that election. I
Yeah.
think only 58% or something like that.
Yeah.
And the day after the election, when I'm saying we, myself and a Liberal member of Parliament and an NDP member of Parliament, were together, uh, and we were asked by a TV station in Quebec to have that discussion about the fact that people don't vote and the participation rate was so low. So I was the last one to speak about it, and the first two politicians said, "Oh, we must promote democracy, doing more promotion in school and blah blah blah." And I said, "No, the problem is not the people. The problem is not Canadians. The problem is us as politicians.
Yeah.
We need to change. And when people are not voting, they're telling us, what you're doing. It's all the same. You're all the same, and I don't want to waste my time to go and vote."
And that,
So
that that's exactly what I see in our community, even on voting day. Like for example, on polling day for Ontario, it was the worst turnout in history. And if you look at the last two federal elections, the numbers have declined as well. I mean, you could attribute some to the pandemic, of course, but regardless, numbers shouldn't go down in terms of voting. It should always either remain the same or go up. And when I was in the gym I did the early voting. When I was in the gym on voting, the gym was packed, and I'm asking some people, I'm like, are you gonna vote? No, and they're like, no. What's the point? They're all the same, right?
yeah. So and I agree with that. Career politicians are all the same. They're all doing the politics the same way, try to do something. They don't have any credibility, and people don't trust them.
Yeah.
So that's why I left the Conservative Party of Canada in 2018, and we created the People's Party because we are doing politics differently. So answering your question, why people must trust Maxime Bernier and the People's Party
Yeah.
is because we are doing politics differently. And that is not a slogan. That is not a buzz.
Yeah.
That is reality. Because we have a vision of this country with a smaller government in Ottawa and more freedom. And we know that we believe that we have the best vision for this country based on Western civilizations and Western values, individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And so we are speaking about what we believe openly with passion and conviction. And we believe the more we speak about something, about an idea, the more popular it would be. But usually, if you're a politician, a traditional politician, you will speak about something if maybe 35, 40% of the population is on your side.
Yeah.
That's why during COVID 19, the last 2 years, we didn't have any opposition at the provincial level and at the federal level because these traditional politicians their only
Yeah.
goal is to be in government. And at that time, if you did a poll or a survey, 60, 55% of the population agreed with the draconian measures. So they wanted to be in government. They didn't want to have 50 or 60 people, 60% of the population not on their side. So that's why we didn't have any opposition against the draconian measures that were imposed to us during the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So we spoke about freedom. We spoke against that when it was not popular 2 years ago. And, I remember the first rally that I did in Montreal in March 2020. If we were maybe 100%, that was the maximum. And
Yeah.
the last one that we did 2 years after that, we had 45,000 people
Yeah.
marching in the street in Montreal.
Yeah.
So we have ideas. We believe that our ideas are the best one, and we just need to speak about it. And we don't try to pander to every special interest group.
Yeah.
If you like what I'm saying, I hope that you'll vote for me. If not, please vote for another politician. Vote for these establishment politicians. So that's why people don't trust politicians anymore.
Now,
They
in,
don't
in,
have
ter-
and principle.
in terms of like getting yourself out there and speaking to people, now I did an interview with Melissa Lantzman. She's the shadow transport minister, and one of the big things she said was that people in Ottawa don't talk to people outside of Ottawa. Um, Basically stating MPs and these people in power don't talk to their constituents, the people who elect them. Is part of the strategy that you guys are going to be employing to really put yourself out there in the community more than ever before in terms of political awareness and political parties?
Yes, absolutely, because we cannot trust the mainstream media to cover us. Actually, they ignore us. They don't want us to have more visibility.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm very pleased to do that podcast with you. And
and I appreciate it.
we are using social media. So our strategy is simple. We have the same platform. We created that party based on four principles, like I said before,
Yeah,
and all our policies are in line with these principles. We won't change. So the platform that we had at our first election for us as a new political party at the federal level was the election of 2019. And I spoke about the same platform at the last election in 2021, and at the next election it would be the same platform. But if you're a traditional establishment political party, you'll do some survey and polling before an election, and you'll change your platform. You look at the win, and for us that's not the case. So answering your question, I need to be out there, and yes, actually, I'll be on the road. I'm actually leaving tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Tuesday, next Tuesday for Western Canada,
for another
Vancouver
Mad Max tour, right?
and Calgary. I was in the Maritime in May for 3 weeks. So yes, the goal is to build a party and speaking to people and answering their questions
Yeah.
and telling them what is our vision for this country. We
Now,
don't believe big fat government that will tell you what to do with your day-to-day life
yeah.
for sure.
Now, do you think this strategy that you guys are going to be employing will work with the voters that are on the left? Now, we look at we have the Liberal Party and the NDP and this weird coalition junk that they're doing. Um, I think a long way to go for you guys, but do you think this strategy can help reach some of those people who are, almost resistant to that kind of platform because they're glued to mainstream media, CBC, CTV, all those news outlets that kind of ban you guys. So how would you be able to spread your message to those people and even just begin a meaningful conversation with them?
Yeah, so I believe that if I look at the past, I believe roughly that our supporters, are maybe a third who are coming from the Conservative Party of Canada, another third coming from the NDP and Liberals, so the NDP and the Liberals, and another third that's are people that who never voted at the federal level.
Yeah.
So, as we just said, 40% of them didn't vote at the last election. So that being said, we can attract people from different political backgrounds because of our ideas. So, and the goal is to be able to reach them. And yeah, I hope that I'll be able to reach them and have their support. But also, the good news for us is the next election. I will be able to participate in the national debates on
Yeah.
TV with the other leaders. That was the case at our first election in 2019.
And then they
In
fired you.
2020,
Yeah.
I think they were afraid of us. They said for a new political party, that party will need to have 4% of the vote to be on the stage. We had 5% at the last election.
Yeah.
So I'll be on the stage. And yes, people who are listening to CTV and CBC and Radio Canada,
Yeah.
I'll be able to at least to be exposed to them. So we'll see. But
Well,
I cannot count on the mainstream media to speak about us and to be fair with us. So
no,
I
we
that will
can't
be able.
we can't count on them for anything now, right? Information has to be in the hands of the person seeking it at this point in age in terms of technology. Now, I wanted to touch on the Conservative Party because you did come from the Conservative Party, and you did say a quote a while back saying the Conservative Party is intellectually and morally corrupt. Um, now, you know, I I'm very open about I traditionally voted conservative. I traditionally voted conservative. In the last election, um, me and my wife and my family here, we didn't see those values that we traditionally wanted. And so I wanted you to expand on that quote and kind of reflect on what you really meant by that and how that kind of should resonate with other conservative voters that traditionally vote conservative of why you kind of meant that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. I said that in 2018.
Yeah, when you started the party, right?
Yeah, when I resigned from the Conservative Party of Canada, I did a press conference at that time, and I said that, and I said that because it was based on my experience with the Conservative Party of Canada, and further, that has been proved, and I'll give you more examples.
Yeah,
But when I didn't, as you know, I was also a candidate for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada
yeah,
in 2017. I didn't win with 49% of the vote. And after that, I tried for about 13 months to work with the establishment of the Conservative Party of Canada, to
yeah.
work with the leader at that time, Andrew Scheer. And I asked them to take some of my ideas because they were very popular. I had 49% of
Yeah,
the vote.
yeah, half of the vote basically. So that means half of the conservative uh, members actually agreed with your policies and your
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so at that time, I had a discussion with Andrew Scheer, uh, 13 months after the leadership contest, and I told him, why are you not taking some of my ideas?
Ideas. Yeah.
And he was very honest when he told me the reason why. He said, Maxime, your ideas were very popular with the membership of the Conservative Party of Canada,
Yeah.
but they are not popular with the main population, with all Canadians. So we are going and will be in election soon. So we won't take any of your ideas because we won't be able to win an election taking some of your ideas.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I resigned. I said, I don't want to run with a party that is not conservative. Our goal is to fight for what we believe. And I know that we are living in a socialist era, and
Yeah.
that's a big challenge. But if you're a conservative, you must speak about conservative ideas. What Andrew Scheer and after that O'Toole did is they're giving more credibility to the leftist narrative by speaking like them and having the name conservative. So that's why when I'm telling you that the Conservative Party of Canada is doing politics based on survey and polling, and now you have another leadership, and actually after that you had O'Toole
Yeah.
that he knew that I didn't win with 49% of the vote and speaking and being a real conservative. So O'Toole said to himself, if I want to win, I need to be like Bernier. So I'll be a true blue. That was his platform.
Yeah.
And after that,
You went
what
right back on it. You went right back on it.
went back to the left. And the reason is because also, don't forget, there's more seats in the GTA around Toronto
Yeah.
than in all Alberta. And if you want to be in government, you will try to please them, and they're more leftists over there.
Yeah.
So O'Toole did that. So now you have a new leadership contest, and now you have Poliev that is speaking like a conservative, and it's normal because he wants to be the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada.
Yeah.
But also, don't forget, he wants to be PM also, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So he will do like Scheer, he will do like O'Toole, he will go to the left a couple of months before the election. And
Just to swing the vote, so to speak. Yeah.
yeah, just to please and just to pander to special interest group, and so that's why we cannot trust them. They are not conservative. They don't fight for real conservative ideas,
Yeah.
and and we and I don't. We are like a common sense political party, and that's why we are able to attract people not only coming from the Conservative Party of Canada, but like I said before, from other political parties, and they like the way that we are doing politics.
Yeah.
You like it, come with us. You don't vote for us. And actually, it's working because we started that party 4 years ago, 0%. Our first election in 2019, 1.6%. The
Yeah.
last election, 5%,
So
more
you're
than the party.
yeah,
It
you're
took
growing at an insane rate in terms of your support, right? Now,
absolutely.
now
So
to build on what you just said, when I did the interview with Melissa, I asked her about, Doug Ford and his policies because I'm very open. I voted for the guy in his last. I did not vote for him this time. I'll never vote for him again in terms of him as a leader. Now, I asked her why were the conservatives so on board with the lockdowns and the policies that were happening that was spewing out of Queen's Park at that time? And to go back to what you said, and I wish I had pushed back a little bit more when I spoke to her, but she said basically the left leaning governments around the world were doing it one way, and it would have looked irresponsible for them to do it a different way, the traditional conservative way. And to me, that was a very poor excuse. Um, and I wish I had pushed back on it a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, she's not the one making the policies in terms of the provincial level. But I see what you mean in terms of the traditional conservative views, because it seems like the party at this point in time, when it suits them to be conservative, they're conservative. But when, there's social issues and stuff that come up, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna, shove our base aside and kind of move over towards what's popular at the time. Do you think that that's basically how the party and the direction of them are going right now?
Absolutely. They're speaking about what is popular, and it's not because something is popular that is just and true. And we are speaking about things that that we think are just and true, great ideas, and believing in people, not believing in big fat government. So, and the more you speak about it, the more support you have, and people appreciate it. I believe that in 2022, Canadians are ready for a real chance for a populist party, a smart, I like to say a smart populist party, because I don't try to appeal to your emotion. I
Yeah.
don't do I don't do that game. I don't play that game. I don't
No.
try to do. If you need to read our platform, I want to appeal to your intelligence,
Yeah.
and I believe that Canadians are intelligent people. So go on our website, People's Party of Canada, read our platform, look at our principles, and if you like it, I hope you support us.
Yeah. And I want to move on to something because like one of the main criticisms of your party, and I'm not saying I generally agree with that. I'm just saying what's out in the mainstream media and what people tend to hear is they kind of the mainstream media labels the People's Party as racist and all these sorts of different things. Far right. I've even seen some articles and some publications saying that it's very Trump-like a party, right? How do you go about that? We have a few. I don't know when another election will come, but based on how things are going, it could be soon as that coalition breaks down. It could be very soon. How do you go about breaking that narrative that the mainstream media has painted of your party?
But the time is on our side. You're right that they tried that. At our first election, they were saying we're a racist party because we had a position on immigration that is reasonable. We
Yeah,
are against mass immigration, for sustainable immigration, more skilled immigrants, and fewer fake refugees. And they didn't want to hear that. So they were saying that we were racist. And, we were able to have 1.6% of the vote, and they were saying at that time, "Well, that party will die, Bernier,
yeah,
no future for the People's Party." And actually, the next election, we had 5%. We know. I don't have to explain. I don't have to explain to Canadians that I'm not a racist. I don't have to do that. I won't go there. Just
yeah,
look at our platform, and you'll see by yourself. So, and if I have an opportunity to be on a mainstream media, CBC or Radio Canada, I will always speak about our platform, and showing Canadians that if you look at the facts, that's that's not the reality.
yeah. I think one of the reasons that kind of came up too is you know how the media do, they dig, and I think one of the things that voters and supporters of yours want to know is some of the candidates that the PPC has are voted as, are viewed as not as strong as some of the other parties in terms of their experience, their ability to communicate. Some of them have a little bit of checkered past, as does everybody. So it's not fair to judge people on that, in my opinion. What are you guys doing to bring in a stronger candidate bunch this time to kind of counter some of the more established MPs that are out there that are
Yeah,
don't have that kind of that media digging into their past and digging up these things to label them as racist and stuff. What are you guys doing to bring in stronger candidates this time?
yeah. I just want to go back to what we did when we created the party in 2018. As you know, our goal was to not increase, but having a candidate in every riding, to give the opportunity to every Canadian to be able to vote in line with their values. So we had only less than 1 year to build a new political party from coast to coast to coast.
Yeah,
So yeah, the quality of our candidate was not perfect, if I can express myself like
yeah,
that. But we gave the opportunity to a lot of Canadians to vote for their values. We had 313 candidates on 338 at our first election in 2019.
yeah,
But I can tell you that the second election for us, the 2021, the last election, last September, the quality of our candidate improved a lot because we had more time to do a research on them, background check, and all that.
yeah,
We lawyers, professor, university professor, workers, truck drivers. The quality of our candidates improve a lot. And so I believe that at the next election, actually, we will improve again the quality of our candidates, because now people understand uh, what is the PPC,
Yeah.
what are our values. So they understand that, and they're coming with us for the right reason. Maybe at the first election, they were not coming from the right reason. And so now I'm very proud of all the candidates that we had at the last election. There are 313 candidates that we had at the last election. And we have right now the time to implement a very strong process for selecting our candidates, and we will do it.
Okay, so you're basically you're telling people that you're going to be doing a more stringent kind of background checks and figuring out more and making sure that these people can uphold the values of the PPC and can compete with these other MPs right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. But also, we're a populist party. We want people, ordinary Canadian, and
Yeah,
we don't look at their CV. And I don't. We are looking at their CV, but we
yeah.
don't want them to have a huge resume and we want them to be dedicated
You,
to
you want real
getting.
Canadians. You want real
Yeah,
Canadians. Yeah, okay. I
yeah,
understand. So would you say that in terms of your candidacy and the people that you have, you're looking for more people that can relate to the public than career politicians? Is that what people can expect in terms of your candidates?
yeah. I think we don't have, we didn't have any career politician with us, and we want people that know what it is to work hard and have a boss.
Yeah,
Actually, me myself, I'm not a career politician.
yeah,
In 2006, for my first time I was elected, I was 43 years old, and I worked 19 years in the private sector before,
yeah,
contrary to, for example, Pierre Poilievre. He was elected first time in 2004 at 25 years old, and he never had a real boss. He is a career politician.
yeah.
But no, we're not. We're working for people, for our country, for the sovereignty of our country, and I'm very proud of all our candidates.
Now talking about Polyev, he put some shots fired on you when he did an appearance. Someone asked him about the World Economic Forum, and he's like, "Why don't you ask Maxime why he was there?" Now you have put out a statement that you were there because of your role as the foreign affairs minister with the Harper government. But I think what a lot of a lot of people in Canada right now are nervous about this thing, nervous about the World Economic Forum and their globalist agenda, and the fact that it is shown and it is proven that they have infiltrated, quote quote, the Canadian cabinet and the Canadian government. Um, now, was your involvement deep in terms of being there? What was
Oh, okay. So I just want to answer that again, and that's not the first time, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
happy that.
it's not the first time. I have follow-up questions, but I want people to hear it
Yeah,
from your mouth. Why you were there other than being
yeah,
the minister?
yeah. That's why I appreciate that question. It's important to clarify all that. But what you said about the World Economic Forum that are that is infiltrated politician, I believe that their ideology, their the globalist ideology and socialist ideology, yes, for sure.
Yeah,
And all his cabinet supported that ideology. Speaking about myself, yes, you're right. I was in Davos. I was not at the conference. That's a big difference. I was at Davos at the same time in 2008 when they had the conference. Because, like you just said, at that time I was foreign affairs minister, and at that time Canada was in war against in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Yeah,
And so, as you know, our Canadian forces didn't have the best equipment at that time, and still don't.
still don't.
And so my job, I knew that at that conference, I'll be able to speak to a lot of my counterparts, other foreign affairs minister, to
Yeah,
ask them to help us in Afghanistan. So I was there for 2 days. I had a lot of meetings with all my counterparts that were there for that conference. So,
Okay.
and I was successful because we had the support of Germany, France, and other European countries in Afghanistan. So I had my meeting with my counterparts. And after that, after 2 days of meetings with them, I left the conference. So I did not assist at that conference. So I
Okay.
was there to be sure that our our position in Afghanistan and being sure that our Canadian forces will have the right tools to be able to do their job over there.
So
So that
Polyev's comment then was just basically to shit disturb, to put it
Oh,
quite.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He's not telling the truth. Yes, I was there in Davos, but I was not at that conference, and I was there for a very important reason as foreign minister to be sure that our Canadian forces will have the right equipment and support from other allies countries.
Okay. So, going forward with this specific topic, I think like a lot of Canadians want to know, if MPs in your caucus or candidates in your caucus do find to be involved with the World Economic Forum, what is your stance on that, and how would you approach uh, that in terms of dealing with that?
But first, we are the only national political party that is not globalist, and
Yeah.
we had the same position at the first election in 2019. Actually, you can see when I was on the stage and debating. There's a video of me telling the truth about that. That
Yeah.
the People's Party is not a globalist party. We are putting our country first, Canada first, and Canadian first,
Yeah.
and we don't want any international organization to impose their point of view. Actually, for the Conservative Party of Canada, they are globalists. They're okay with the UN Compact on migration. They're
Yeah.
okay with mass immigration coming from the UN. They're okay with the climate change treaty, the Paris Accord.
Yeah.
They're okay with that. They will sign the Paris Accord. They want to impose a carbon tax, but they will impose more regulations on businesses. And we know that at the end, it's a cost for consumers. So they will fight climate change because they agree with that Paris Accord treaty. So
Yeah.
we are not a globalist, contrary to the conservatives and the liberals. And about your question about the World Economic Forum, you're right that they have a lot of influence in Canada, but they won't have any influence with our party.
How,
Our
how
position is clear,
how would you
won't
deal?
change.
How would you deal? Like, I think what I'm trying to
But
get at.
wait, being very clear, we
Yeah.
won't participate in these meetings.
Yeah.
We don't want to be part of that. Our goal will be to promote our sovereignty. And
Yeah.
it's same thing. Our position on the UN, the Canada is spending $1 billion, $1 billion on UN. So we can save that. We need to balance our budget.
Yeah.
Pierre Poilievre is not saying anything about the UN, about the $1 billion that we are spending there.
Yeah.
What we said about it, we can save that money. We won't participate with the UN or the World Economic Forum only if it's in line with our values. And if it's not, we're going to say goodbye. But actually, they're socialist organization. So
Yeah.
it is not in line with our values. So, but the conservative, the NDP, the liberals are okay with the UN. And I said the UN is a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
We won't support the UN. So that's a big difference. And it's not a talking point, it's the reality. But the question that you must ask and we must ask to Pierre Poilievre, what will do? How come you're going to sign the Paris Accord? What you're going to do for the mass immigration? And you are signing the UN Compact on Migration. You agree with that. So he is a globalist. And we must ask him a question about the $1 billion that we are spending and giving to the UN.
To
So
those
what is his
organizations. Yeah.
he doesn't have any position on that because it's not popular to speak about that and because
Yeah.
afraid of the media. So that's another example of the way that he's doing politics. So Pierre Poilievre as a leader or another person,
Yeah.
it would be the same. The party is intellectually and morally corrupt.
Now, I tend to agree with you on this on that one. But I think what more after the last couple years, like we talked about the distrust Canadians have, right? And the concerns that people have with the World Economic Forum and their globalist. Like a lot of politicians, for example, Pierre has denounced them and said similar things. I think what Canadians want to hear at this,
From Pierre just said, I want to allow my minister to go to this meeting,
yeah,
but that's that's nothing. The real question is, what are you going to do with the $1 billion that we are spending to the UN? How come you're for mass immigration coming from the UN? All that's policies that are important for the future of this country,
yeah.
and have on all these subjects agreed with the liberal.
Yeah, and he did. And I think what Canadians are looking for is some sort of guarantee that if members of the People's Party, if you guys are in power, what would be the punishment for these MPs? Is it just going to be a slap on the wrist? Like we like I think most Canadians can say they don't want to see the World Economic Forum and that globalist agenda, coming into Canada. And what we've seen so far when politicians break the rules, so to speak, is it's mostly a slap on the wrist, maybe sometimes a very tiny fine. Is there some sort of legislation or something that you would put in to make sure that this infiltration doesn't happen if it doesn't align with the Canadian values and your party's values?
We are asking all our candidates to when they decided to in the past they decided to be a candidate and in
Yeah.
the future also to agree with our policies, and they're there to fight for our policies and our principle, and by signing that, by only the fact by being a candidate for the PPC, they agree, they agree that we
Okay.
must fight for our platform, so they won't be at these meetings. And the question is not, you can, they won't, but you can say, oh, people won't be at these meetings, but on the same time, signing all these treaty with the UN, and the impact is there.
Yeah.
Polyev can say, oh, people won't go to these meetings, but that's not the real question. The real question is the party and the policies that Polyev is promoting is a globalist policy.
Yeah.
They are globalist policies in line with the UN and the World Economic Forum.
So can you guarantee, I know this is a hard question to ask, can you guarantee that if some of the candidates did, somehow squeeze out and started working with the World Economic Forum, that they would be immediately kicked out and dealt with in terms.
Be part of our party anymore
Okay,
because that's not the philosophy of our party.
okay.
So they won't be. They
So
won't
so
be.
there won't be this slap on the wrist denouncing thing. It will be like you're out, and whatever behavior you were doing behind the scenes, you're gonna have to pay for.
Yeah, because you knew you decided to be a candidate for the PPC, and so you knew by doing that your goal is to be sure that our platform will be put in action in legislation, and you agreed with our platform. So what you're doing, it's against the platform, and you're out. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think
But
that's very important. Like what you just said is very important for people to hear because I think that builds the trust that, a lot of people feel this way, Max, that like when politicians say something that they don't do it, they get a slap on the wrist and they go about their life, right? So I think people want to hear that if they go against what we voted for or what they voted for, they will be held accountable going forward under a government with you, right?
yeah, but also don't be wrong. Also, I want our candidates to vote on any subjects that will be in line with their conscience. Like, for example, I want to impose anything on the abortion file. I said the party doesn't have any position on abortion. It's a personal question, and you'll be able to vote for a bill on abortion on about in line with your belief.
Okay.
So believe in more free vote in the House when it's about other things that are not in our platform. So, but everything that is in our platform, our candidates and members of parliament must support the platform.
Okay. And I wanted to shift gears a little bit because I am from the sports atmosphere. I'm from the health and fitness background. That's my industry. That's my business that I run. And it has been absolutely trashed over the last 3 years. And to be quite honest, as a professional athlete growing up in this country, there hasn't ever been much support at the federal level for athletes as much as they like to pretend that there is. And it's not a topic that a lot of people cover because it's not, well, it's not popular, right? But in in my community it is because like when you look at the US, as flawed as the US is, there's one thing that brings them together more than anything, and it's sport. Like you go to a NFL game on a Sunday, it doesn't matter if it's Democrat, Republican, they don't give a shit. They're there to support that team. They're there to scream, chant, they're there to have fun. And it's one thing that I'm very passionate about, that sport brings people together. And I've seen athletes in this country absolutely decimated in terms of help, finances from the federal government compared to counterparts like the US. We expect our athletes to perform at a certain level, yet we don't give them the support they need. Like if you go to the US, they have the Olympic Training Center. Those athletes are making livable wages. And when I say livable, not the bullshit 20,000, 30,000 bucks that our government gives. You can't live off of that. You can't
Yeah.
as a full-time athlete, you can't live off of that. Is there anything that you were willing to do and put into place to help support that industry and bring it up to a point where, it can be a point of national pride? You know what I mean? Because when you go to the US on a Friday night, they're all at the high school football game, right?
Yeah.
And there's a few reasons to go on about that, but one of them is, funding. Those coaches are getting paid. So there's a high degree of urgency and to put into these young men, young women, to develop them, to give them those experiences. But in Canada, that's not here. Can we look forward to something like that from you?
Yes, absolutely. And me personally, I'm a runner. I like to run. I'm running marathon. That's my sport.
Yeah.
Uh, and so sport is important, but also what we must do at the federal level, we are spending a lot of money on policies and things that are not under our jurisdiction. We can save a lot of money. We can save, like I said, $1 billion cutting the UN. We can save $5 billion by cutting foreign aid. We can save between $5 to $10 billion by cutting corporate welfare. So, and our goal is to balance the budget and doing all these reforms. But also, we must reinvest in our own jurisdiction. And I believe that our country, Canada, we have a role to play there. And yes, we must give all the tools that athletes need to be able to compete at the international level, and that must be the case. So, of the position of our party, we will reinvest, for example, in our Canadian forces. That's part of a responsibility. That's the responsibility of the federal government.
Yeah.
Yes, with athletes, we can do the same by cutting all the spending that is not under our jurisdiction that politicians are doing because they want to control a little bit more. They want to buy votes. We won't play that game. So the questions to your answer is yes, we must be proud. We must help our athletes, and they must be an example for younger generations.
And what I'm more concerned about is like I'm a professional, so when all the lockdowns were happening, I found a way. We have connections, we were training, we were doing our thing. But it's the young men and the young women, the kids that suffered the most out of this whole time, and it's going to have a ripple effect not only in athletics but in just in education in general. Um, how can we support these young men and women? Because some of them, to be quite honest, they lost the last 2 years of competitive sport, and any dreams and aspirations they did have of competing at the next level, at the university level and further and beyond, are kind of almost crushed now. But no politician is willing to talk about that. Everyone's about every child matter. Well, what about the children that are here that are suffering now, that have lost their hopes and dreams for the last 2 years?
Yeah, but I spoke about it. In the beginning of that pandemic in March 2020, I said we must reopen the economy. Lockdowns is not the solution. When I was saying there that I was the only politician, and people were saying Bernier is crazy. We must, the virus is very deadly for everybody. And
Yeah.
no, that was not the case.
No.
The virus was deadly for older people, more than 70 years old, with comorbidities, not one or two or three comorbidities. And 80% of our death here in Quebec during COVID-19 are people older than 75 years old
Yeah.
with comorbidities. So that being said, I was there because I knew I said we must reopen our school, our kids must be able to play sport. I said that. But at the same time, the conservative and Polyev and all these establishment politicians were okay. They were okay with all these policies. And that was not the case. So shame on them. And yes, we will always be there to promote, freedom of choice. And people must be able, that was crazy. You're in the middle of the pandemic and you want to take care of your health and you're not able to go to your gym.
Yeah. And it's the fundamental thing that will keep you healthy. Like it's the one thing that if anything would prevent this thing from happening to you, for prevent you from dying, right? You couldn't take care of your health. Could we expect from your government the when you relocate those funds to maybe start programs where high school coaches are paid so that there is more funding for the high because as I love professional sports, but I am a firm believer that it starts at the grassroots level. And
Yeah.
when I grew up in the high school system that I grew up in, I played football and ended up playing in university, but it was severely underfunded. Coaches weren't paid. It was comparatively speaking, competitively speaking, it didn't give kids the tools. Sport is supposed to give them tools and assets to help them in the real world, not to be professional athletes. That's just a bonus that 1%, if not less, get. Can we expect you guys to relocate those funds towards programs like that and actually look at having competitive high school, competitive elementary school with paid coaches that are there for the kids to constantly be there for the kids and developing them?
Absolutely. But also, I must add that the education is 100% a provincial jurisdiction.
Okay.
So, what we can do, we can have program at the federal level that will promote our elite athletes. But also, we must look at other way that we can also be sure that kids will have access to sports.
Yes.
Uh, that must be a discussion that we must have in this country. Absolutely. I played football, and when I was younger, at the not at the university level,
Yeah.
but at the college level, and that gave me discipline. You have to be out there. That was cold, raining, and you had to train. And so sport was important for me in my life, and I want every kids to be able to practice the sport that they like, that they love.
Oh,
Speaking about football, which position did you play?
I started off as a defensive end, then they moved me to linebacker, and then I ended up being like that flex linebacker position where I was big enough to play on the line sometimes, which I hated, because then you got some big boys barreling down you on the line. But then I preferred outside linebacker because I can get away from them. I can shed the block. And I didn't get to have crushed by them. You know what I mean? But I mean, then I did something even more stupid and transitioned into cage fighting at the mixed martial arts. So
Oh, oh.
I mean that's what I do now. Like I get into a cage and fight people, and like that's what I get punched on the regular, right? So, um, what one of the things before we wrap up is I wanted to talk to you on a personal level because this is something that happened during the pandemic where you were out doing your rallies and you were arrested and you were put in handcuffs and you were arrested basically for quote quote violating public health measures, which we
Yeah.
like straight up all my listeners know that's bullshit. It was a bullshit. But what I want to know from you is as somebody who is out there, trying to help people, trying to promote to get life back on track, to trying to spread the truth. Then you're there, put in handcuffs in the back of a police car. What was going through your mind? Were you almost was it like that you were like, damn it, I'm doing this and sacrificing this, and now I'm in the back of a police car and nobody even cares? Did you feel that way, or how did you feel when that moment happened? Like on a personal level, forget all the politics, forget all the bullshit aside. Like, you know, you made this sacrifice to help people and to promote uh, getting back to normal and exposing the lies and the truth. And it almost seemed like uh, majority of Canadians sort of abandoned you at that point, and the media labeled you as a criminal and all that. How did you feel?
Yeah, I must say that I didn't expect to be arrested.
Yeah,
I was arrested after a meeting in a park with the executive of our riding association, our volunteers there, and at that time they were the rule in Manitoba was no more than 5% outside gathering together. We were about 10, and we had a discussion outside in a park and social distancing. And after that, I was the only one that was arrested, handcuffed, and put in jail for 12 hours. And I'm still, by the way, waiting for my hearing.
yeah,
They are postponing that because I believe that they know that I will win. That was unconstitutional and illegal.
yeah,
So for me, when that happened, I knew that it was political repression. I knew that the premier of Manitoba didn't want me to do a big rally that was planned in Winnipeg the day after. And I knew that, they were afraid of the truth. They were afraid of the facts. And they were afraid of what I was saying. They didn't want to have any debate. They didn't want me to be out there and to reach to more people. So that's why when I was arrested and when the police asked me, and that came, naturally,
yeah,
when he asked me, "Do you have anything that can hurt me?" That was his question.
yeah,
That was the first time that I was arrested. I didn't know that they are asking that I didn't have any firearms. I didn't have anything
yeah,
on me.
exactly.
Politician. So when he asked that question about do you have anything that can hurt me, I was surprised, and I
Yeah,
said no, only my words, only my philosophy. But because that's what I'm doing as a politician, I'm selling ideas, I'm promoting ideas, and I want our ideas to be shared by more and more people. So that's why that was my answer. But I can tell you that being in jail for 12 hours alone, uh, that's tough
yeah,
morally. I can just, I'm looking at Tamara right now that she's still in jail for nothing. And she was in jail
exactly.
for 18 days and now for another week. Uh, and, she's not a criminal.
No, over
Uh,
what? It was a photograph that basically put her in there. That photograph that they took, right?
yeah, yeah. And but I was there actually. I was at that gala. We were at the same table, and she was just in front of me. And she took that photo because we had a photo of the table. After that, she took that photo. She didn't speak to people that she was not supposed to speak.
Yeah,
So that's just another political repression and harassment. And you do that in a communist country. You're not supposed to do that in Canada. But that being said, answering your question about my feeling at that time, you, first of all, you're alone. You question yourself
yeah,
about what you're doing. Um, I'm, I said, did I did something wrong?
yeah,
And
exactly.
my first reaction was no, but you ask that question again to yourself,
Because
and
you're stuck there, so you have to say it over and over and over in your head, and nobody's talking to you. So like, did that send you into a bit for those 12 hours? Were you a little bit depressed that they had come to that all those things that you were fighting for, and then this is where it led me to?
a little bit. You know, you have ups and downs, like in sport, like in life, like
Yeah,
in every. When I was in my cell, I know, okay, I'm here, and that's okay. I will be free maybe in an hour, but you have some downs also, saying, I just want to go out. I did nothing wrong, and
yeah,
and you question yourself. But I had a good lawyer, and I'm still waiting to be in front of a judge about it. And they don't want me to be in front of a judge because I believe that we have a very strong case.
yeah. It
So
was
that being said, you know, I don't wish that to my biggest enemy to be in a jail for 12 hours. It,
especially for a violation of the their chartered rights, right? Like,
yeah,
like I mean, I give this example in a lot of my other podcasts. Like when there was one of the lockdowns, like I'm a fighter. Like I don't need to punch people in the face, but I want to practice my art. I want to practice my art constantly and make it better and perfect it. and we went to a park to hit pads.
Yeah.
Not violent. We weren't punching each other, but we were just hitting pads, just doing a regular kickboxing workout. And I was harassed by the bylaw officer. I was told I shouldn't be there, that what I was doing was illegal. And like, I almost popped off. I had to, bring myself back and ground myself. Uh, was there a point where you were angry? Were you just angry at people and the things that put you there?
Oh, absolutely. When the police, put the handcuffs on me, and I'm a politician. I don't have any criminal record.
Yeah.
A peaceful citizen. So why doing that? Just bring me in your car, and I will follow you, and I will listen to you, and I will respect your authority. But handcuff me, uh, you know. I said, I
Yeah.
was not happy. I look at him. I said, why are you doing that? I will follow you. I don't need that. I won't punch you in the face.
Yeah.
I was not happy when he did that.
And I think it's important that we had this conversation because it shows that you're a real person too. I think a lot of people get lost in, like, as much as I dislike Trudeau, as much I realize he's a human being, right? We're all human beings, and that's what we're trying to do in this country is we're trying to fix that gap and fix this thing that has come between everybody, that just because I have a different point of view than you doesn't mean that you're any less of a human being than me. Doesn't mean that you have any less rights than me. And I think that it's important for people to hear how you actually felt, because what we see on TV and in the media is like we don't see feelings anymore. We just see policies, we just see platforms, we just see agendas, we just see that. But we lose the real people behind those positions. And if we get to know the real people behind those positions, we'll actually be able to make smarter, wiser decisions, and not only that, but communicate and be civil towards each other. Do you think that that's what your aim is going forward? And
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Respect each other, respect Canadians. That's part of one of our founding principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And yes, and that's why at the last general election, I said we must respect everybody and unite everybody under the freedom umbrella and believing in freedom of choice. If you want to wear a mask or have the two shots, it's your decision.
yeah,
But the government must not impose that to you, and we must respect you. And people must respect me if I decided not to take the two shots. It's
yeah,
my own decision. But with all the propaganda and the divisive politics coming from the conservative and the liberals, they were telling Canadians there's good Canadians, the ones that are taking the shots, and bad Canadians,
yeah,
the
exactly.
ones that are not taking the shots. And that was not our position. It's your own decision. Let's just respect your decision and have the freedom for everybody to be able to decide what they want to do with their own body. And I believe that if you want to have uh, a good society, and an open society, a good society, that we must respect everybody and respect their choice, the choices that they're doing.
And I think that's one of the things that we've lost as Canadians over the last couple of years, because like you said, the divisive politics. The only agenda in the last election from the Liberals was to divide Canadians on the topic of vaccines. Like there was very little policy talking about it. It was like, here, let's pit them against each other to win a majority. And it didn't work. It didn't. And it kind of shows why, like, now you have Jagmeet and Trudeau making love in the parliament, trying to keep things, trying to keep it, keep things up. But I think what you said was very beautiful, and I think more Canadians need to resonate with that, because we do have a choice, and the choice is we vote for the people that we want to, and we hope that they institute those values that we as citizens put out there. Now, before we finish this off, I want to find your opinion on this. We have a conservative leadership race, right? Um, Now there is, I won't lie, there are some strong candidates. Poilievre's a strong candidate. Roman Baber, who like you, did speak up, and he put his self out there, put his political career on the line, put his livelihood on the line, and he did lose a lot. You know, he was kicked out of caucus for that,
Yeah.
and then Leslyn Lewis as well. Sheree, which I don't even entertain, because somebody with well, here's my thing: somebody with that bad hair cannot be on TV every day. As much as I dislike Trudeau, at least he does his hair. You know, Sheree, if you're gonna run for politics, you know, get a hairdresser, do something with your hair. Um, of those of those candidates, who do you see winning? Who would you like to compete against? And if there is somebody like Baber who does win, could you see yourself working with them in the future? And maybe not a merger, but in terms of being, you know, kind and friendly and working with them in terms of helping Canadians?
Yeah, for me, whoever will be the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, that won't change anything for us, for the People's Party. I'm too busy to
Yeah,
promote years, and I'm not in politics to try to change my strategy or ideology because there's a new leader of the Conservative Party of Canada.
yeah,
So, I'm not doing politics against the Conservative Party of Canada. I'm doing politics for Canadians. And so we have strong ideas. We need to be out there to promote it. So whoever would be the leader for me, it's not important. It's not important. I'm too busy to focus on growing the party, speaking about our values, and I believe that we will grow from 5%, maybe I don't know, 6, 7, 10%. We'll see, and I will work very hard to be back in Parliament. So I hope and I believe that we may have a couple of candidates that would be elected and
yeah.
will be able to start that real common sense freedom revolution in Parliament. So that being said, for the Conservative Party of Canada, about the question about the a possible merger with them or going back. So the answer is clear. It's a no,
No.
no, and no. I won't go back there. I said that party is intellectual and morally corrupt. And, I said that 4 years ago, and I was right, and I'm still right. So, no, I won't go back. I will. When we'll be in Parliament, if the government, if it's a liberal government or a conservative government, that they're doing something in line with our policy, for sure we'll vote for with them. But
Okay.
if not, we won't, and that's our position.
So, s-
We
so to clarify that for everybody, so your position is like it doesn't matter who gets in, whether it be Polyev, Baber, whoever.
I can,
If they're proposing something that aligns with the People's Party of Canada, you will work with them to help that come true. But if it's not, you're going to be as just as much as an opposition as any other party. Is that's basically what you're saying?
yeah, absolutely. And for why? Because whoever will be the leader, they will go to the left. They're not real conservative. So, but if they propose something in line with, if they want to end mass immigration and having fewer immigrants and reforming our immigration system in line with our values, for sure, we will support something like that.
Yeah,
But everything that is in our platform, if the liberals or the conservative is doing that, I will be happy with it. But our goal is to promote our ideas and to be a strong opposition. And maybe we don't know. We can have the balance of power after the election.
yeah,
Look what happened in the New Brunswick, not at the last election, but the one before.
yeah.
New party, and they were able to elect two candidates, and only with two candidates they had the balance of power.
Yeah.
So we don't know what can happen, but people can always count on us to be ourselves, to fight for what we believe, and to always have the same platform and fighting for the same values.
Yeah, and to kind of sum that up and wrap that up is like in Canada we've always had like since I've been growing I'm only 33 years old. Since I've been alive, it's always been, you know, liberals and there's always been a huge left kind of leaning party system where those two have held quite a bit of seats. And I think what the People's Party presents is an opportunity for Canada to shift some of that power from the left to bring Canada to almost, where I tend, when people ask me what's your my political, I'm in the center. You know what I mean? There's policies that I agree with on there. There's policies I agree with on there. I think that, if the People's Party can pick up some seats and kind of shift those powers, we might see a Canada where we finally will bring some, middle ground and stop, being so divided on so many issues. Is that kind of where your vision of things are going to go over the next election in the next couple of years?
Yes, but I don't like when people are saying, we are a right-wing party or things like that. We
Yeah,
are a communist party. That's why we are able to attract people coming from different political backgrounds. They look at our platform, they like the way that we are doing politics, and they like our principle. They like, our authenticity. If you look on YouTube and you go on YouTube, you can find a video of me 13 years ago saying the same thing that I'm saying today.
yeah.
So we are real. And that's why I'm asking people for the next election to vote for their values, to vote for what they believe in. Don't vote for against something. Vote for something.
Yeah.
And if you vote for what you believe, you'll have more chances to have what you want. So that's why I believe the People's Party offer a real alternative to these establishment political parties.
All right, and I think that's a good way to wrap this up. Before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find you, how they can see your guys' stuff? Because I know that there's a lot of censorship going on, so it's not easy to find a lot of your material, your stuff, your live streams. How can everybody find you on social media and through videos and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. First, they can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. You're going to be able to read our platform over there. Everything is there on social media. I'm very active on Twitter. You can follow me there, but also go on my Twitter account because we are shadow banned on Twitter. So
Yeah.
you need to go on a regular basis on my Twitter account, on YouTube, on Rumble. We are also on other platform like Instagram. And so, we try to be very present on social media. I have also my Mad Max show every 2 weeks. It's easy. Maxime Bernier, find me, or People's Party of Canada. You'll be able. And if you have any questions, you can write to us at info@peoplespartyofcanada.ca. It may take 3 or 4 days to answer your questions, but we will do it.
And believe me, when he says that, they will do it. They will get back to you. It's one of the only uh, parties and politicians that are very open, and I appreciate you for doing that, and I appreciate you for coming on and speaking to people and being honest and exposing yourself even in terms of your personality and everything. So I appreciate it, Max. And that's been another episode.